Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Today it will be a global look at the price of Bitcoin, where we are now, and I will show you some more bullish signals because like last a week or maybe 2 weeks I've been posting a lot of the bullish signs from indicators from general perspective of the price, moving average, and so on and so forth. You can go through my Telegram or Twitter and find those. Most of them are pretty bullish. So today I will add a few more bullish things, but at the same time I will show you why those bullish signs might be wrong, basically why we actually can get even lower and the whole bearish trend is not over. Alright, as you know, well, most of the indicators, probably if not all of them, are based on what we see from the price. And it means that as soon as we see some, let's say, rising trend here, then you might expect that indicators will show you similar things, and most of them are lagged, so you can see the reaction from the indicators afterwards, after we see some move in the price. But in any case, we can have some cases when actually indicators are acting in a different way than the price. It means that they are actually giving you a hint that the trend which you observe in the price is potentially wrong or fake. Those are called divergences, as you know. And for example, you can see here on the weekly time frame, we would like to zoom out a lot to highlight those global trends. So on the weekly time frame, we have this pair of lows. The second low is lower than the first one, meaning that we have the downtrend, right? Well, this is the sign of the downtrend. At the same time, on the MACD, for example, and its histogram, you can find that the lows are going higher, the same lows that we see in the price, which means that this is a so-called bullish divergence, and on the weekly time frame it's pretty strong. So you might expect that after this point you will see the price moving up, and in fact this is what exactly happened. So the question is whether this move is already exhausted and this divergence is already play out, or not, basically. And the same divergence you can find on other indicators. For example, Elder Force Index, or EFL. The lows are going higher. At the same, in the same manner, stochastic or stochastic RSI, lows are going higher. So many bullish divergences actually. Moreover, on the weekly time frame, we have this bullish crossover on MACD. And let's say last time we had this bullish crossover on MACD over here, exactly before we started to see the trend reversal, the move from $3,500 to $14,000. So one may say that, well, this is actually a very, very bullish sign. So why do I think that all of those signs, indications are, well, at least they could be false or maybe invalid? Let's look at MACD, for example, first. Well, we have this higher lows, right? But at the same time, this histogram, although it's at the negative zone, you can look at it, for example, over here. This point is still, despite it is a negative area, it is a maximum here. And this one is also currently a maximum. But of course, if the price will go higher, or it will make like a little dip and then go higher, then it will be very, well, probably indistinguishable maximum, or will be continuation here, will not be maximum at this point. So, but in any case, if the price will go lower, it is very likely that here it will be a maximum. And at the same time, the maximum and the price is lower comparing to this one, but the maximum on MACD is getting higher, which means that this is a bearish divergence comparing to the bullish divergence, as opposed to bullish divergence over here. And this bearish divergence is like 1 month or more than 1 month later. It occurred later than this bullish divergence, meaning that it's stronger, basically. The same thing you may find on stochastic RSI. You see the recent high is higher than this one, and the highs are lower on the price. The same on Elder's Force Index. Basically, while we had the indication of the price going higher after this point, now we are having the indication of price going lower from this point. Moreover, on this intersection, this bullish crossover on MACD, the same as here, In fact, if you look at the history and 2018, which we already talked about, like this similarity of this pump, and also we had this inverse head and shoulders and here as well, and that we pierced, or actually this is 21 EMA, but I was talking about the 200 simple moving average here, so we didn't actually break it, I think, but still very similar to what we had recently and what we had in 2018 July. So in fact, if you look at the MACD at that point, we almost had the same bearish crossover. Moreover, the whole shape of those parts of MACD are very, very similar. And then eventually we even actually had this bullish crossover. So MACD was pretty much bullish after July 2018, but despite of that, we dropped from $6,500 to $3,200 because during the low volatility and low liquidity areas, the same as we have right now, and potentially will have even more, those signs might be not as strong as you might expect them to be. And moreover, you can see here the lows on the price were going lower, the lows on MACD were going higher, which means that again it's very, very similar to what we have right now. And at the same time, the highs on the MACD are going higher, but the highs on MACD after that are going lower, the same bearish divergence. So that is why it's very, very important how the price will move from this point, $8,500, whether it will make a new high above maybe $9,500, $10,000, or it will go lower following the same pattern as we had in 2018. But not only that, let's look at the other indicators. Let's say RSI, Relative Strength Index. You see, we didn't make a new high, and if you remember, well, I was telling you guys that if we'll go above this 55 level, as Jacob Canfield said at some point, we might actually go to establish a new bull trend because this was kind of a bearish area and this is a kind of a bearish area. So as soon as we are going above this area to the new zone, a bullish zone, then it might be the signal for the fact that we are actually breaking this downtrend, but we didn't. And we are having a lower high. Well, actually, it's not a bearish divergence here, though, but it's also not supporting the reversal idea. And Fisher transform, you see, we have this bullish divergence over here, pretty much the same as MACD, but we have also the bearish divergence on those highs. And probably we have a chance for this high going lower. I mean, the indicator value will go lower if we'll go down again. But again, if the price will go higher, then this divergence will be invalid. So this is pretty much the same conclusion. We need to see how the price will react, but it's a very, very high chance that we'll continue to correct here to go lower, and then yeah, all those things will be very, very valid. And before going to DMI, I would like to refer to SOPR, SOPR indicator. And at some point, I would say that one should be very cautious using it right now, because although, let's say on the non-smooth version, we have this value of SOPR going higher than 1, and then actually have a pullback after going lower and then moving even higher than 1 again. But this is actually quite old data, but I would say that despite it looks bullish, I would say I would be very cautious making any conclusions on that, because when we have like pretty established bear market, for example, as here, the value of SOPR is pretty much below 1 for a while. If it is a bull market, then the value of SOPR is almost always above 1. Those are periods are with very clear trend. But let's say over here, at the beginning of 2018, SOPR was oscillating around the vicinity of this level and going up and down and so on and so forth. So this is some kind of a transition period, and right now we are also we could be in this transition period, so we can't make this conclusion, especially with the non-smooth versions. Let's look at the 7 days smooth version though, and you see that is clear that we have these oscillations. And right now, although we are a bit higher than, but here we also were higher. And going even further in terms of the smoothing, 14 days. You see, we barely moved above this level 1. If you'll go to 30 days, then it's even more pronounced. You see, this situation, when the price made this rally, which we were talking about, which was very similar to ours, the SOPR value hit level 1 and then had a pullback. This is the indication of the clear bear market. The same thing very much possible happening right now. So as soon as we will have an updated version and the price will go a little bit further, then we'll see whether we are going up or down again. If the price will stay above 85,000, then it's very likely that we can go higher one, but if we will not, then we can expect something like that. And you see how this happen eventually, what happened eventually when we see this transition to the bear market scenario. And now I would like to show you this DMI chart. So DMI is, I think, very informative right now, because what we see here is on a weekly time frame we have this positive DI going above negative DI, meaning that we have a bull trend, right? At least short-term bull trend. At the same time, the ADX value is very low. It is like 19 or something, and it means that the strength of this bull trend is also very low. And some people are saying that, okay, we had this accumulation over here, we had this accumulation over here, we had the rise like that, we had the rise like that. So we pretty much somewhere around here, or maybe around here. I mean, if you'll compare this situation and this situation. So our point is translating to this case is somewhere either here or maybe here. But if you look at the DMI indicator case, then yeah, this is pretty much the same in terms of the flipping positive and negative DI. But at the same time, we didn't have the long and huge bearish area as we had previously in DMI before moving up from 4,000 to 14,000. We didn't have the ADX that high. Well, we don't have it right now. Instead of this situation, I would say we are currently very similar to what we had here. The ADX value was continuing to going lower and lower, and for example, this point, you see, we had this almost like flipping between the positive and negative DI, but we actually could make it. Well, right now you may expect, may say that this is kind of a extended rally, so this is not that much different. This is not, doesn't mean that those cases are like very, very different from by nature, but still, this move is very similar. We are approaching and they had a pullback, but ADX is going lower, ADX is going lower. We don't see the change in the ADX just yet. And what happened after that? We saw the low volatility, low liquidity, pretty much the sideways by DMI as well, and then drop. So, as you can see, with all of those bullish signs which we looked at before, accumulation distribution, SAR and everything, we still have a very, very fair chance that this situation will happen again, and we will continue dropping until, I would say, we will not make a new high higher than the previous one. It's still a very dangerous situation for the bulls. And me personally, again, I mean, everything which I say is my personal opinion, not financial advice, guys, but me personally, I don't want to go like high leverage long on Bitcoin until I will see the confirmation of this trend is strong and real and well established, and will not go lower than, let's say, $6,500. Well, we'll see how all of this play out. With time will tell, of course, but I will keep you updated with all of my analysis, and I hope that it is useful, guys. Thank you for watching.